I'm going to teach you everything you need to know in this video about Robinhood's new feature, stock lending. If you're considering doing this with your portfolio, you're going to want to know how it works, if it's safe, how to actually enable it in your account, how much money you can make, and what the risks versus the rewards of enabling this are. By the end of this, you'll be able to make a great decision for your own investments. So let's start with the basics. What is Robinhood Stock Lending? Well, Robinhood says clearly, Robinhood Stock Lending gives you the opportunity to earn extra income on stocks you already own. Robinhood will look for borrowers, and if they find a match, you'll get paid. This is a program available to pretty much anyone. You qualify if you have over $25,000 of income, $5,000 in your Robinhood account value, or if you've just checked in the Robinhood settings that you have anything above no trading experience. So if you want to enable Robinhood Stock Lending, how do you do it? Here's a simple 4-step process. 1, go into the Account tab. 2, tap the menu icon, that's the 3 horizontal lines at the top left of the screen. Tap Investing, and then tap Enable Stock Lending. And you're off and running, and Robinhood will begin to look for borrowers for your stocks. Okay, let's explain what stock lending is. If you're going to lend out your stocks, you should probably know why people want to borrow them. Essentially, people want to borrow your stocks so they can short them. Short selling a stock is the process of instantly borrowing a stock and selling it right away with the promise that you will have to buy that stock back later. If the share price goes down, the borrower will buy back the stock at a lower price and take the gains in the middle. Instead of making money when the stock is going up, short sellers make money when the stock goes down. So, do you get to keep your stock while it's being borrowed? Yes, essentially, you have the same stock in your portfolio and access to buy, sell, or just keep holding it like you normally would, even if someone out there is borrowing your stock. Probably the most important question before we talk about how much money you can make, is this safe? Is it safe to let others borrow your stocks using Robinhood's new program? Well, there are a few versions to this answer. Remember when I said how short selling works? Someone borrows the stock, sells it right away, and then they have to buy it in, and they're hoping to buy it at a lower price to take the money in between. If that goes as planned, it's going to be very safe. Even if the stock doesn't go like the short seller thinks it will and goes up just a little, everything's probably going to be okay. They'll lose money, you'll still make money for letting them borrow the stock. However, in the rare circumstance when a short seller borrows your stock and that stock goes rocketing up in price, there can be something that happens called a short squeeze. And in this event, unfortunately, your money may not be completely safe. In this case, and the short seller cannot handle the losses on a short squeeze, and enough of this is happening to a lot of short sellers across the platform, Robinhood warns that there is a risk that Robinhood Securities could default on its obligations to you under the stock lending program and fail to return the securities it has borrowed. If Robinhood Securities defaults and is unable to return loan securities, you will not be able to trade such securities as usual. This would be the nightmare scenario where you could potentially lose money. Now, all of your investments in the market are typically insured up to $250,000 by the government. When you loan stocks, they're not insured in the same way, although Robinhood will keep collateral. Let's read what they say about how they will work to protect you. Robinhood Securities, however, provides cash collateral for such securities loans, and that collateral may constitute the only source of satisfaction Robinhood Securities obligations in the event it fails to return the loaned securities. In some circumstances, the collateral held on your behalf may not equal or exceed the value of loaned securities. How I read this is that in the event, however unlikely that there is a short squeeze or the market behaves abnormally, if your stocks are being borrowed and that is the one that gets short squeezed, you may not get your money back in this situation. Now, however likely that is, who's to say, but it almost brought down huge multi-billion-dollar hedge funds recently with stocks like AMC and GameStop. So it's up to you. Let's say you still want to enable stock lending on Robinhood. How much money could you possibly make? There are a few different ranges, of course, to how much you realistically could make. When you enable it on the Robinhood platform, they'll estimate that if you get paid out about 1.5%, and they give you the example that if you lent out $10,000, you could make $150 a year. That sounds pretty good. However, going through Reddit and looking at some users who have done this, it's not quite that easy. A lot of times, not all the stocks in your portfolio will be lent out. Usually, it's going to be not your blue chip companies, but your highly risky stocks that people are interested in short selling. Therefore, those are the only ones that are getting borrowed. Some users have posted that they've made a couple bucks a month, which is how often you're paid every month. Others have reported earnings of just a few cents and only think that a portion of their portfolio is actually getting lent out. So if you have a really blue chip, rock solid portfolio, you may not have a lot of shares of stock getting borrowed. If yours is a little more risky, you could have more shares getting borrowed and you'll get paid more. The last thing to consider in all of this is dividends paid out through stocks that are currently being loaned. They're taxed at a different rate. They're taxed at your normal income instead of at a lower dividend rate that they typically are if you're holding onto them yourself and it's not being loaned. The risk in this is if your stocks are being borrowed and you're getting a lot in dividends, you actually could lose money by enabling stock lending after you have to pay more in taxes on those dividends. So let's wrap everything up. Is it worth it? That's a question you have to answer. I've been using Robinhood for years. It's not my main broker, but they are always creating and developing in the fintech space, and they're good to keep an eye on. This is not something I am personally planning on doing. My portfolio doesn't match the benefits, but there could be some opportunity for those who do have the right portfolio and a higher risk tolerance. Let me know down in the comments what you're doing, if you like this feature, or if you're interested in learning more. Check out my other videos on finance, education, and making money, and we'll see you next time on the channel.